are coming with me.
Me.
Nothing is over!
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. Welcome back to Backtrack Cinema. This is BT Live, Episode 5, and I got Austin Bird from SPC Unleashed. Big Star Wars guy, as we're going to go through our top 10 moments of the original trilogy, the original Star Wars trilogy. So ignore the rest. We're just talking 3 movies here: New Hope, Empire, and Return of the Jedi. It is Thursday, May the 4th, 9:04 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, coming to you just south of Toronto, Ontario. So, Austin, welcome to the channel. And we just did that. We were both guests on Kyle's show. That's kind of where I was formally introduced to you, and thought get you on here for some Star Wars talk. So, how you feeling? How's Star Wars Day treating you, buddy?
Well, I didn't get to do a lot of Star Wars stuff today. About the most I got to do was listen to a little bit of Star Wars music at work today. Had to rush home, get on here, get all cleaned up, ready to go. But other than that, it's been a good day so far. And also, Jason, man, I really appreciate you inviting me onto the channel. I'm excited to be here. Always excited to talk Star Wars with anybody.
Oh yeah, Star Wars. I will admit it. I'll bet I'm a kind of a more casual fan. I'm not diehard. Like, I grew up with these movies. That original trilogy is kind of I am a big fan and everything. But once you go on YouTube and you see where the real fans are, I'm like, yeah, I'm casual. I think you can put me in between casual and I like it, the fandom and everything. But let's see who's here, though. The View with Drew says, hey, everybody. What's up? Hey, Drew. What's going on, buddy? Kyle's here. Says, hey, J-Man. Austin. And Jeff is here. He says, hey, guys. Yeah, so many great moments, Austin. So many iconic moments. Really iconic moments with these first 3 movies. And I admittedly, man, this was tough. I had to knock some scenes off that I absolutely love, and some of it was difficult. Some fun, some good funny moments and stuff like that. But yeah, this was a tough list to make.
I had to agree because there were a lot that came to my mind, but I was like, oh, this one just nudges it out just a little bit, and but I did come up with my 10. So I mean, I'm pretty solidified on what I've got for my 10 moments.
Yeah, I'd say I am too. These are the ones that popped to me first. And so, yeah, how about we just get right into it? And this will pull my banner up here so we don't get lost.
Okay.
With everything. So what do you got at number 10? Your number 10 moment.
So my number 10 is from Return of the Jedi, and weirdly enough, it's actually not a scene that made the actual cut of the film. Mine is actually a deleted scene from Return of the Jedi.
Nice. I like that.
Mine is Luke constructs his lightsaber. So it's very apparent when you're watching the film how very similar Luke's lightsaber looks to Obi-Wan's, of course, that being his first master, because obviously now in canon, he went to Obi-Wan's hut, kind of found the construction papers for his lightsaber. So to me, it's just a great scene to see because it shows too how far Luke has come since the events of Empire Strikes Back, since, things did not go his way very well on Cloud City.
No, they did not. Yeah, you also got to think that a lot of time has gone by, even though they make it look like not much time has gone by. But just the way Luke is, the lessons he learned, we'd have to think maybe a couple years have gone by, if not more. Like, for me anyway, that's just the way I see it.
Yeah, if I remember right, I think only like 6 months passed since Empire Strikes Back when that happens.
That's kind of strange. Like I said in my Empire review, that you'd have to think on Dagobah, he was on Dagobah for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
I know it doesn't look like that because of the pacing of the film, but I mean, he just, unless he's so good with the Force that he just picked it up like that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it shows later on in Return of the Jedi and in further films in the franchise how much more powerful Luke slowly becomes the more and more he's training and stuff. So yeah, Luke constructs his lights. Oh, and I guess part of that too, I forgot to mention as well, is in that scene, Vader is actually talking to Luke through the Force, still trying to, get him to come and join him and the Emperor. So I mean, I always love things like that when it comes to the Force. Like that's what I love so much about the sequels is Rey and Kylo, their deep connection in the Force. Like,
Yeah,
it's just always something that grasps me.
yeah, that's cool. I do recall that scene actually when I looked at the deleted scenes, and it's there's actually he says later, I could see you constructed a new lightsaber.
Yep.
Indeed, you are powerful. So yeah, that kind of comes back there, doesn't it?
Kind of full circle, I guess we could say.
Alrighty then. Alrighty. My number 10 is basically the introduction to Obi-Wan in A New Hope.
Okay.
Hello there. That one. And basically that, I just love when he's like, when he's looking at Luke's passed out. If you like this, Alec Guinness obviously knew some real backstory to the character. Clearly, it's all in his body language, though. You pick up on the performance. He's looking at him. He's looking at Luke almost like, oh wow, look how much you've grown. Like he has met him before. It's there in the performance. So when we see the show Obi-Wan, that's not too far fetched because it's already been established. But you really got to pick up on his performance. But when he starts talking to Luke and he's like Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he goes, "Well, that's a name I've not heard in a long time." I just really like the wisdom, what this character is, and how he's, Luke has these what he's learned from his uncle about this man is really not who he really is. You know what I mean? Like it's he's just like a strange old hermit, he calls him, but he ends up being, this Jedi Knight, he finds out, and he's this really, wise dude. And that's his master, that's his mentor and everything like that. But that their first interaction I really enjoy. I just really enjoy the performance here.
I will say I am more of an Ewan McGregor fan of the version of Obi-Wan, but I do really like and appreciate what Alec Guinness does. He definitely adds, like you said, that like older, that like wisdom that he likes to portray in his role.
Yeah, for sure. But that's a scene I've always really enjoyed. That first introduction they have, and how cautious he is too. He says, let's get on the move. The Sand people are coming back, and this is a wise Jedi, man, a wise Jedi. All right, what do you got for number 9?
For my number 9 is from the first film, so from the original Star Wars. It is the iconic "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you are my only hope."
Nice.
To me, the reason I picked this, and unfortunately why it's so much lower than what I wanted it to be, is it's really what just sets Luke's journey in motion. You'll come to find out I love Luke Skywalker. He's in my top 5 favorite Star Wars characters of all time. But when he just sees that, obviously, first he just sees, a young, attractive woman, obviously not knowing till later films that it's his sister and all that, but he's just like, Obi-Wan, okay. And then after he finally meets him, they go off on their adventure. It's really what just catapults our journey with Luke Skywalker, going from just the young farm boy to slowly becoming a Padawan to slowly becoming a Jedi Knight.
Right. Yeah, it's a good moment. It's a good moment, and it kind of like sparks something in him, right? I mean, he's already off gazing into the stars and the sunset, and doesn't want to be where he is. He wants to be part of the fight, part of this rebellion. So, absolutely, yeah, it's a nice little moment. All right, my number 9 is from Empire Strikes Back, and it's the Battle of Hoth. That whole battle scene, and it's amazing. I love the snow aesthetic. There's something about the beginning of this movie Well, like when after, I mean, I'm talking after when they get ready for the battle and everything. But I mean, you even see Darth Vader coming out into the action, and the only thing that was missing is Darth Vader going into action, like that video game that come out where he's on Hoth,
Oh
Force. You know
yes,
what I mean? If we would
yep.
have saw something like that, that would have been insane. But the Snow Walkers, I love these things, man. I absolutely love the design of these things, and seeing Luke in the X-wing taking these things out, all that, and the sexual tension between Han and Leia, and I got to get her out on the Falcon, and there's like one moment I couldn't put on here, missed it, but I love seeing the Falcon in absolute mess, and Chewie trying to fix it, and Han going, "What are you taking this apart now? We're ready to get out of here." It's like, they're both screaming at each other and everything like that. I absolutely love that. That would probably be an honorable mention, but the whole battle, just everything about it is just fantastic. Absolutely love it.
Man, I remember being 5 years old, and I remember that's actually the first thing I saw when I became a Star Wars fan. 5 years old, sitting on the floor, and my dad watching Empire Strikes Back. We just turned it on to TBS Superstation, it used to be called back then, and that was the first thing I saw was the Battle of Hoth, and that is what catapulted my love for this franchise.
Yeah, I mean and it holds up. It really holds up. You know what I mean? Like that whole opening scene. It was so different that this movie starts off with a battle and ends with a lightsaber duel. Ends with the bad guys winning, essentially. All this twists and turns that happen, but the fact that they opened the movie up with a battle is just it was pretty cool. I really like that.
Yes, I agree.
All right, your number 8.
My number 8 is probably for a lot of people the most iconic thing about the original Star Wars, and that is the destruction of the Death Star.
Nice.
I mean, there's so much happens. I mean, the Battle of Yavin is probably hands down tied for a lot of people as one of, if not the greatest space battle in all of Star Wars. But I just picked this because, again, it's, again, another Luke Skywalker moment, something that just catapults him to becoming a general in the rebellion. And, again, just showing how powerful in the Force Luke is, because, of course, he hears Obi-Wan talking to him, turns off that computer, and he just goes on a will and just fires those proton torpedoes, destroys the Death Star, kills millions of people. It's just, I don't know. To me, it's always just been the most standout moment for me, I would say, in at least the first Star Wars film.
Nice. I like how you're picking a lot of different things than I would pick. It makes it interesting.
Yes.
Sure. The Wolfman's here. Mega Movies he says, "Hey everyone, big Star Wars fan. The Wolfman." He says, "Love me some Star Wars. I know you do, my friend. I know you do."
Yes.
All right. My number 8 is from Empire, and this is where the shit starts hitting the fan. This is where they freeze Han Solo and the carbonite and everything. But it's just that one moment where Leia says, "I love you," and he goes, "I know." I go, man, Han Solo would not say "I love you." He would say, "I know." I love it because of that buildup of sexual tension between them. But not only that, like Chewie is going fucking ballistic, knocking people all over, and he's just like, "Hey, hey, hey, settle down." He's like, "There'll be another time. There'll be another fight." I just love it. It's like, what a way to end your second chapter. Ended on this huge cliffhanger. Like, what the? They just froze Han Solo. I mean, Luke gets his hand chopped off. We find out that Darth Vader's Luke's father. The bad guys essentially won, and you're just like, what? Can you imagine having back then waiting the 3 years for Return of the Jedi? It's like the ultimate. It's the ultimate cliffhanger, right? But that one moment between Leia and Han Solo, and where we still don't know that Luke's the brother yet. So for all intensive purposes, she chose Han in this little love triangle. I know it's kind of twisted to talk like that, but she basically she chose him in that moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, essentially, I mean, obviously there's still again, obviously, we don't know that they're brother and sister till the next film, but like you can still feel there's a little something between them. But obviously, of course, now after you actually know the revelation that Luke and Leia are brother and sister, you kind of go back to that last movie, and you're like, oh, oh. Like I always see these videos of that moment between Han and Leia after they win. He's like, I'm sure Luke made it out. She's like, I know, I feel it. You love him, don't you? Well, of course. And then, oh, he's my brother. And then
He's
it
like,
kind of goes,
what?
yeah, it goes back and it like shows that scene of them kissing, and there's this like just weird music playing that. I think it's from Kill Bill. That music from Kill Bill plays.
That's funny. That's funny, man.
Comedy gold.
That's funny.
So
all right.
we're number seven now, right?
Yep.
Okay. My number 7 is from Return of the Jedi. Mine is the arrival of the Emperor on the second Death Star.
Yeah, that's a good moment. That really is. I like that.
I just love how like the mood almost essentially changes after like the Admiral there hears he's like the Emperor's coming here. And I forgot what he says after that, but then the Emperor actually arrives and shows up, and the music just gets so dark. It just slowly starts swelling up until the Emperor comes out. You have him and his 2 red royal guards following behind him, and you're just like, what is with this Emperor? Because we only just found out about him in the previous film, barely getting to see his face if you watched the original version of Empire. Obviously, of course, the special editions, they put Palpatine in there from Revenge of the Sith now. But it's just the ominous, like the atmosphere of just how much it just changes from just Vader and how much more of a menacing presence the Emperor is. Like,
yeah.
And obviously we find out why the Emperor is so menacing later on in the film.
Yeah, and he almost comes off so frail. Like this, like almost like he needs a cane. You know what I mean? How slow he walks, but he's just vicious at the end. But it's all manipulation with him. Like what he's doing to Luke's head is far worse. What you know what I mean? Like how easy he can manipulate people, and Luke knows. Like what's interesting is Luke knows that this guy can manipulate. He's not blind to that.
Mm-hmm.
He knows that if his friends are in that much danger, just like Anakin chose, right? When we go back and we see, well, I can't save Padme, so I need a way. I need a way to save her. And what's funny is that he was actually the cause of her death. That's what's so kind of brilliant about it all. Because
it's a powerful storytelling from George Lucas in that point. And it's weird too in regards to that part of Revenge of the Sith. Like they're both like laying down. You have Anakin literally, well, at that point he's Vader, but still you have Anakin slowly just like dying and becoming Vader. And then of course we have Padme also, dying after childbirth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's you're right though. That's how terrified people are. And there's a whole thing with Darth Vader. You instantly know he's not coming off as evil as he did in Empire.
Mm-hmm.
He's almost neutral in a way. Like the Emperor's sensing something in him that's off, I think. But Vader is hiding it. He's actually, because Luke's getting to him. Who knows how long they've been talking to each other with the Force?
Mm-hmm.
Like how long they've been, you know what I mean? And you get the sense of that. Like even when he meets Luke, he's like, "It's just too late for me, son." Like the way he's talking to him is almost like this sentimental kind of way. If that makes any sense.
I would agree with you. That was one scene I wanted to add on here, but it just got beat out a little bit. Was that conversation between Luke and Vader? Because like, seems like every time he talks, he like switches. Like he's like, "Yo, you want to join the Emperor?" And then the next time he talks, he's a little bit more like, fatherly, I guess we can say, with the way he
Yeah,
talks to
yeah.
Luke.
He's almost like that in Return of the Jedi. And I think it's really good. I think that's really cool because obviously Luke is making, by him sensing the conflict in him, it's starting to make Vader look at himself and go, like he knows he's lost, he knows what he's done and all that, but
Hmm.
maybe he's starting to believe that he can come back in the subconscious. Maybe I don't know. But it's great to watch. Caleb from the Dark Ether says hello there. Make sure you guys all go at the Dark Ether File podcast after I'm done here at 10:10. I think he's doing a whole ranking of the whole Star Wars movies, so that'll be fun. Definitely tune into his channel for that. All right, my number 7 is Yoda's death in Return of the Jedi. Just that whole scene, the whole scene. He's become very old and weak, and Luke's like, I've come back for the training, and it's just great to say, no more training do you require. You got everything you need now. But and it's that one moment I just really love where he's kind of dying and he's just like telling Luke, remember a Jedi's force, a Jedi's power flows from the force. But when he says beware of fear, anger, aggression, that look on Luke's face, like Luke's terrified.
Hmm.
Luke's terrified of the dark side at this point in the game. I'm talking to you, Last Jedi. He's terrified here. He wouldn't have been terrified in The Last Jedi. But anyways, that is another conversation for another day. But he's terrified that he could turn to the dark side. Like he knows there's darkness in him. Um and I just like just the acting of Mark Hamill here and how accepting Yoda is to his death. Like he believes in the Force, this my time. Twilight's upon us. This beautiful writing here. And he gets that it's just such a, and it's funny too. There's it goes from funny to like them conversing, him seeing his master for the last time, and really like Luke feels alone after this. Like Obi-Wan's gone, Yoda's gone. It's like there's this huge weight on his shoulders now. I feel like that, even though Obi-Wan obviously comes right out and said Yoda will always be with you, but just a great Yoda moment for sure.
You even get a little comedic moment in there too, where he's like, "Oh, what the hell? What does he say again?" It's like when 900 years old, you look good. It's something like
Yeah,
that. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. You look as good or something like that.
Yes. I was gonna do my Yoda voice, but I'm
And
very
then like he
inspired right
gets
now.
real serious, and I just love it. He goes, "You can't die." And he's like, "Strong am I with the Force, but not that
Yes.
strong." I just What a great character. Yoda and Darth Vader are my favorite Star Wars characters of all time. Like those two, and I would just love for them to go back and get like a 300 to 400-year-old Yoda, like to get a trilogy or maybe just one movie. I just seen that world of who this guy was, and was he always really powerful, and what are the trials he went on? Like, just there's so much bloody untapped potential with this character that, or maybe people like it as a mystery. Who knows? But I think I would really like to see it personally.
Yeah, I'm a huge Yoda fan. Like Yoda is hands down my favorite Star Wars character of all time. Like I'll talk about it a little more because I do have a couple of moments with Yoda, but that scene, like genuinely, every time I watch it, it breaks my heart all over again.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. Jeff says Yoda's death. Wow, so sad. Yeah, it's a great moment. Um, Fluff, brother Fluff is here. He says, "Now that I'm 900 years old, I understand how tired Yoda was."
Yes.
uh, Caleb says, "When 900-year-olds you are look as good, you will not." Hmm?
There it is.
Yeah,
There
it's
it
great.
is.
It's great. All right. All right. What we got at number 6?
Number 6 for me is Luke versus Vader on the Death Star 2. I mean, to me, this is up there as, for me personally, one of the best lightsaber duels in all of Star Wars. And it's just one of the most emotional moments because it almost seems like now the tables kind of turned, because when we were just talking about earlier, that scene where Luke and Vader are having that conversation, like how Vader has that internal conflict of, oh, well, I'd like to join you, but I have to serve the Emperor. It's essentially the opposite now when you get to this lightsaber duel. Now the conflict is more in Luke. He wants to help. He wants to save Leia. He wants to save the rebellion. He wants to save his father, but just everything that Vader and the Emperor are doing to him in this whole scene, Luke can't help but get emotional, can't help but fight the way he is fighting, getting a lot more aggressive going up against Darth Vader, just tapping a little bit more into the dark side. And then getting that moment where he chops off Vader's hand and he sees it's robotic just like his. He has that moment of looking. And then he gets his true Jedi moment where he stands up to the Emperor, throws his lightsaber off to the side, and says, I will never join you. Yeah. And of course, obviously, that's when Luke gets zapped with the lightning by Palpatine. And
yeah,
you get
it's
one of the most emotional moments.
Yeah, it's so good because, especially like you said, when he sees Darth Vader's hand, that's what he did to me. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like this. I could be going down that path, and he he remembers Yoda's words, right?
Yep.
You go down that path, you'll become an agent in evil, and he takes the this modest approach and just gets humbled. I'm a Jedi now. Nothing you can do about it. And if I have to die as a Jedi, I don't think Luke knew that the Emperor could, shoot lightning out of his hands at that point.
Yeah,
Or if he wouldn't have dropped the lightsaber. I don't know.
yeah, that was a lot to take into. It's like, whoa, like we're just used to seeing,
Yeah, see, you're right. You're right because when this first come out, we've never seen that before. That was something that was introduced.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, this guy's making lightning appear out of his freaking fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
This is crazy, and and Vader has that great moment, right? So yeah, it's a beautiful moment. I like everything you said about it. And something about them that fighting on the ship too, and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty great.
Yes.
Oh, there he is. There's Connor right there. I think this is Connor anyway.
That's Connor.
Not that bad. A movie podcast. Stopping to say, hey, have a great rest of the stream, guys. Hey, buddy, what's going on? Oh yeah, they're great. I had them on for a Rocky 5 stream one time, and it was great guys. Yeah, definitely check out Not That Bad, a movie podcast. They're great guys. All right. Mine is Vader's last moments. This is the conversation between Vader and Luke. When he takes Vader's helmet off. And I tell you, when you're 4 years old watching this in the theater, like I was in 1983, this big anticipation of what Vader looks like, it did not disappoint. I mean, I don't know what the younger people now watch this movie now and go, oh, that's all he looks like. But it was crazy back then. We're like, oh, that's what you finally get to see what he looks like. And now go, my son. You've already saved me. It's a great arc for Darth Vader. Then you realize when he did the prequels that this whole story is about Anakin. This whole story is about Darth Vader. When you look at it from episode 1 to episode 6, the whole arc is Darth Vader's arc or Anakin's arc, and it's awesome. I love how he wants to save his father and everything like that. He's trying to get him off there, and I love the Viking funeral he gives him when he burns him on the planet there of Endor and stuff like that. And it's great. It's great. But that conversation they have, let me look at you with my own eyes and that kind of thing. Let me finally look at you because he was taken away from him, right? As we see in Revenge of the Sith and all that. And yeah, it's a powerful emotional moment. I love those last few moments of Darth Vader.
It's easily one of his best moments in the franchise.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we're halfway there. Halfway there.
Whoa.
It's a good moments,
So,
man.
yes. So, my number 5 is Luke versus Vader on Bespin.
Yeah.
Now, this to me, hands down, is the best lightsaber duel in the original trilogy, personally, for me. And it's my second favorite lightsaber duel of all time, right behind Obi-Wan versus Vader in Revenge of the Sith. I do consider that to be Vader in Revenge of the Sith, by the way, just throwing that out there for you guys. But to me, this just is the epitome, too, of emotion. And obviously, again, we do not know, but it leads to the ultimate revelation of, easily the most iconic moment, me personally, in movie history, basically.
Mm.
But just the choreography, just seeing how just absolutely inexperienced Luke is with his lightsaber. The fact that he didn't get the full training that he should have gotten from Yoda while he was there on Dagobah, and even too with Obi-Wan being there as well. They're both like, no, like you brought up earlier, Jason, if you leave, you'll become an agent of evil. Obviously, Luke does, prove that he doesn't ultimately do that, but it's just to me the choreography, just the way that, things start playing out. But it is more of that what it ultimately leads to. Just you can see how exhausted Luke is. You obviously we don't know emotionally what Vader is like, but it's like he's not even breaking a sweat. He's just throwing around this young kid who has no experience at all with the Force or with a
Well,
lightsaber.
he's toying with him. He toys with him for the whole thing. He could have killed him right at the beginning. He wants to kind of freeze him and send him to the Emperor, right?
Yep.
Um, but I mean, let's not kid ourselves. The Vader could have force choked Luke as soon as he saw him, and that would have been over. Like that he wanted to see what where his skills were at. I think that's what I think anyway. It's the like well where I got this that we'll be talking about this a bit later in the stream, but it's I'm not going to disagree with you. It's a great scene. It's a great scene. All right. Okay, mine is from A New Hope. Number 5 it comes from A New Hope, and that's when that iconic shot of Luke looking out into the sunset or the two suns. Um,
Yes.
you know what I mean? It's more of the shot I like. And this kid, he's been told that he's got to stay another year on a farm he doesn't want to be at. He wants to be in TIE fighter, not TIE fighters, X-wings, taking on the rebellion and getting into the fight because he had a buddy that went there that's already up there. And he's just full of hopes and dreams, and he's just just there's just that moment of him, am I ever gonna get off here? And he's that nice music comes in by John Williams. It's fantastic. And I just really like how in Empire they kind of reference back to this where Yoda says you're always looking into the sunset, your mind never on where you were, what you were doing, you know what I mean? You're having no focus and stuff like that. Whereas we look at that as such this kid, he's a hero and everything, but Yoda humbles him in that moment, you know what I mean? Saying your mind's never on where you were. You've never focused. You never were on task. Your mind was always somewhere else. A Jedi can't train like that. We could go on all day about Jedi's and just the lore all behind it. But yeah, just that shot. I just love the shot of it. You know what I mean? It's just got a really beautiful shot.
Oh, for me, I guess with that scene, I mean, I do love that scene as well. But yeah, it is the music for me because the Force theme is my favorite score, like of all
Yeah.
of John Williams. Like I love that music is just so beautiful because to me it epitomizes what the name of the film is. A New Hope. Like it just him looking out into the sunset and just him hearing that music and him just looking full of hope. Like I love how that's what George Lucas decided to name this film because it just it fits the entirety of like the story of the film.
And let's not forget, it was never called A New Hope when this came out. It was called Star Wars. That's it.
Yep.
Because there was no plan of a sequel, right? I don't know when A New Hope actually entered into it, if it was a special edition thing or when it came out on VHS. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, it's a great shot. And one thing I did kind of, I mean, I'm not huge on the fact, I didn't think they needed to kill Luke in The Last Jedi, but when they did kill him, I kind of liked that callback to the sunset. Him, him disappearing into the sunset when he's. I thought that was just a good callback to this shot I'm talking about.
Yep. It's again another full circle of his story, essentially.
Yeah. All right, number 4.
Number 4 is the Battle of Endor. Now, I do have a little bit of grievances with this because I do think it is a little bit odd, and I don't really like the fact that teddy bears basically helped the rebellion beat the Empire. It's always something that's kind of bothered me as I got older.
Me
But
too.
to me,
I'm not.
But
I'm
to
not
me,
huge on
man,
Ewoks.
yes, I will say I like the Ewoks more than the Porgs from The Last Jedi. The
Oh,
little
I agree with you there.
the penguin, whatever them things are that Chewbacca's eating. But I, the Battle of Endor, I honestly would say is probably the best space battle in Star Wars history. Like, just how practical everything looks. The fact that the Falcon actually gets to have a lot of action in this as
Mhm.
well. You don't obviously the first space battle on Yavin, we don't get to see really anything from the Falcon towards the end is when we finally get to see it come out. But obviously too it leads to again another iconic destruction of the Death Star. And it's just more of again like hope is restored upon the galaxy with the fall of the Empire. Like this was the ultimate loss of the Empire because the second Death Star is destroyed, Vader is killed, the Emperor is killed. I mean, essentially everything that was holding up the Empire has fallen, basically. So,
Yeah, it's I tell you, it was. I can just remember me being 4 years old, looking at when we went to see this in theater, and that end space battle was just like you're staring up, and there's lasers shooting past you, and you're in the space battle, and all the ships, and
yep.
it's crazy. It's crazy, and I do love how we get such a redemption of Lando too. I think it's a important piece in this movie too. How
Mm-hmm.
redeemed he is for being a guy kind of like selling out his friend and stuff like that. And if Han Solo never met Luke or Leia, I think he would have done something similar. You know what I mean? The fact that he met Luke and Leia, I think, just made Han Solo a better character, a better person. But he was pretty much no different than Lando in a lot of ways. Like when we first meet him,
Mm-hmm.
like he was just gonna like take the money and take off, and I got debts to pay. And I think Lando's kind of a little reflection of Han in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, I love how essentially they're kind of the same way to a degree in
To a degree,
Solo.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that's my
Nice.
take on Lando.
Um. Oh yeah, number 4. I love this moment. This is a Darth Vader moment from Empire Strikes Back. This is where I forget the guy's name, the general, or whatever, where he moves into the Hoth system too quickly, and then Darth Vader puts him on screen, and it doesn't even move a muscle. He's just choking him out, and he goes, "You will have failed me for the last time, Admiral." And he's telling you're in command now, and the guy's just freaking choking to death while the other guy's trying to look at Vader and look at the other guy like this. I like he's so bad, man. It's so bad, and like that's Darth Vader, man. Like just he didn't move a muscle. He just if I don't get results, this is what happens to you, and it just sets up everything so good too. Because by the end of this, he's just such a great villain. He's the greatest villain of all time in movie
Yes.
history, as far as I'm concerned. And this moment is it's just so badass, man. For me, it's just badass. He's just like choking this freaking guy out without even, he's not even looking at him. He's looking at the other guy who's in command now. And he's just like doing all this at once, right? It's great.
I mean, the guy next to him too. He's like, "Thank you, Lord Vader."
Yeah. And then he chokes another guy out. He chokes that guy out later. Apology accepted, Captain Nita.
Yes. I think he does that in Return, right?
He never choked anyone out in return.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he comes around, like I said before about him. He's coming around. There's more conflict in him. They're not portraying him as evil anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's still feared and everything, obviously, but yeah, it's just not as much. Okay, number three.
Number three. I'll be honest. I really wanted to put this as my number one because it's powerful just in general. But for me, it is the iconic "Do or do not. There is no try." Easily the most iconic phrase from my favorite Star Wars character ever. I mean, I would be totally honest. This is almost something I live by daily. Like, I couldn't even tell you how many times throughout a day, like, I can quotes from something from Yoda. The one I've been living by lately with my career change is from The Last Jedi. It's failure, the greatest teacher of all it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just, again, another scene where, like Luke, he's just exhausted. He's been training nonstop. That X-Wing just starts sinking into the swamp. And he's just, again, he's trying. And Yoda, no, do or do not. And then he just ultimately still fails. And then you just get that magical moment with Yoda where you see how powerful he is. Him closing his eyes. The music too from John Williams there. It's beautiful. Just seeing it. He's
great, isn't it? It's great. I can't argue with you with that scene, man. That scene's great. So certain are you? I always liked when I do this to my kids all the time. When he says, master, lifting rocks is one thing, doing this is completely different. And I'm like, he's like, no different. It's only different in your mind. Yes. I tell my kids like that. Well, I'll never be able, like, they play sports or something. I can't do that. I go, it's no different than what you already learned.
Yes.
You can learn something else now and build upon that. And Yoda's just awesome, man.
Well, and even too, like, after he gets it out, Luke runs over. He's like, I don't believe it. That is why you fail.
Yeah.
Dude, Yoda is just, I would love to be taught an entire day just by Yoda if he was real.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. These are great moments, man. Number three for me. Okay, this kicks Star Wars off from A New Hope, and that's the whole opening. The whole opening where George Lucas throws you into the story, and you see a little ship, and then a big ship chasing a little ship. You're like, what's going on here? Yes. Like, what is this? This is Star Wars, man. This is Star Wars. And then you get that great introduction to Darth Vader, probably maybe the most iconic Darth Vader moment when we first meet him, when he comes in and he's just kind of looking down, and he's got choking one guy, and he goes, if this is a counselor ship, then where is the ambassador? And he's just crushes the guy and just chucks him. And this, like, man, like, what an opening. This little, and it still holds up really well.
Yes.
Really well. Just the way everything goes down, just that it's throwing you into that story. It's just fantastic. And I love it. I mean, I absolutely love that whole introduction that we get with R2 and C3PO, and the model the way he built these model ships and all that kind of stuff, I think's pretty fantastic.
Yes. I kind of wish we could have got a little bit different versions because I know obviously the concept arts, obviously they look totally different. I know they used the original concept art of R2D2 for the droid in Rebels Chopper.
Yeah.
I love little throwbacks like that when they can do stuff like that.
Yeah, it's awesome. But yeah, I couldn't leave the opening of Star Wars. It's just so iconic, and it just I love movies where they throw you into the story, where they're showing you, and you're really not. There's no setup yet. Everything's just like, okay, this is the world I'm in. You know what I mean?
Yep, it's a good moment, man.
All right, number 2.
So my number 2 is actually one that you brought up earlier, but I obviously put it higher for the same reasons, but for other reasons as well. But for me, my number 2 is Vader's redemption.
Nice.
To me, again, it just shows you another powerful moment with Luke, showing the fact that he was able to not be seduced by the dark side, the fact that he was able to actually save his father. And yeah, the conversation they have, it's beautiful. Like you said, let me see you with my own eyes. It's like, no, but you'll die. It's too late for that. And then again, that's just the moment. Now go. I have to save you. You already have. Like, the fact that at that point you see Anakin Skywalker actually return, because again, essentially from after he betrays Mace Windu till right before he throws Palpatine down the generator shaft, that is Darth Vader there.
Yes, I agree completely. And there's that, if I could digress a bit, if we look at Revenge of the Sith, there's that one moment I really like where Anakin's in some kind of apartment where the tear comes down his cheek and he's looking out, and he's complimented what he has to do. He's gonna it was a conscious decision. It was a choice he made to go down the dark side. It wasn't like I'm just gonna be bad. It wasn't a feeling. It was a choice he made. And when he's got that tear running down his cheek, he knows that this will destroy him now.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's going to be no turning back. I like that moment. It kind of just reflects, we get this guy back, and he was able to come back after all that. I mean, this guy killed kids and younglings and blew things up. And if you watch the show Obi-Wan, I mean, he's a bad man. He's a bad dude. Like,
yeah, it doesn't matter who he was before that. Like, yeah, that just ultimately is what makes Darth Vader Darth Vader. And I mean, I love that scene too, because I mean, it's weird because Padme is looking basically towards the Jedi Temple, and then while Anakin's in the council room at the Jedi Temple, it's almost like they're looking back at each other. And like you said,
that's it. He's in the Jedi Council. That's right. I was trying to remember. I haven't seen that one in a while, but I just always remember that moment with Anakin, and how I always found it really fascinating and just so emotionally interesting that, yeah, he knows what he's going to do. He's already made this decision. And I don't think he knew how it was going to play out, obviously, when he went to approach Mace Windu. But to me, that's how I interpret that scene. Like, I've made a decision. I'm going to go there, and what unfolds is, I'll do anything you ask because once he kills Mace Windu, he's already crossed that line that he can't come back from.
Yep. I highly agree with you.
Or at least he thinks he can't come back.
Yep. And again, ultimately he does.
It's a great arc, and I could see why people get really pissed off at Rise of Skywalker, because it kind of everything George Lucas built upon and did was like, well, the Emperor's back. What the hell did he die for? Like, what did Vader die for? So I understand the frustration of the diehard Star Wars fans for sure.
I do too. Again, as somebody who likes the sequels, likes them for what they are, I do understand the frustrations very much of the fans.
Yeah, so do I. I mean, for sure. And if you tune into Caleb's channel, he will unload on you guys. No worries there on those movies. My number 2 is one you've mentioned already, and that's Luke versus Vader in Cloud City, Bespin, whatever have you. This is the ultimate lightsaber duel. I don't think there's one that comes close to it. Personally, this is my absolute favorite lightsaber duel of all time, and it works. It plays out like a 3-act movie. If you look at the first part, he's just toying with Luke with the lightsaber. The scene where he's at. You've controlled your fear, now release your anger to me. He's just toying with him. Come on, come to the dark side. Use that. And he's just playing with them. Then the second part of it is where Darth Vader uses the Force on him, where he's just standing there and things are breaking off. They're coming at Luke. Luke's outmatched. He doesn't know what to do. And then the third act is a reveal of I'm your father.
Yep.
And there's a nice little jump scare in there just before Luke's going around a corner. Here comes Vader. And they pull the camera back like this, and you just see him going like this. He's using all his anger at Vader. And this just like it looks like at this point he's trying to take him out, like completely take him out. But it's great. I just love the aesthetic of it. I love the shot of him when Luke gets there and he's on top of the stairs and he's like, the Force is strong with you, but you are not a Jedi yet.
Yes.
Like that. And James Earl Jones has such a command to the voice. And he phrases everything so elegant, like Vader is a very elegant talker to me. Like when he captures Han Solo and he's like, "We would be honored if you would join us." He's almost got this sense of humor to him, like this sarcastic sense of humor to him.
Yep.
And unfortunately, George Lucas didn't make Anakin talk like that. Like Anakin, I find Anakin doesn't talk like Darth Vader. Like I wish he would have added some of these words and phrases he used to Anakin when it was Anakin, because he's the same guy. Like he would talk the same still in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I felt like that's like I'm digressing still, but I'm just like there's some inconsistencies there that I know are just nitpicks, but they always like you should have made it say something like I would be honored or something like that if we did this, or something like that on those lines.
I mean, you get an occasional little sarcastic line here and there, but it's not very often from just Anakin.
No. Caleb says, I still say Mace Windu lived. It might be a reach, but we've seen Jedi survive similar encounters. Yeah, it's very possible. That's
very true.
It's very true, Caleb. Absolutely. All right, guys, we are on our number 1. So, Austin, your favorite Star Wars moment from the original trilogy?
No, I am your father. It's hard not to pick it, man. It's, to me, just in general, the most iconic Star Wars scene of all time. One of the most iconic movie scenes of all time. The greatest movie reveal of all time. I mean, as we just brought up, I know I talked about it earlier. You just talked about it now. Just the build-up to the revelation. Like, again, just seeing how Vader's toying with Luke, how just Luke gets exhausted. And after he gets his hand chopped off, then like you said, we get that elegant type of dialogue from Vader, like trying to seduce Luke, much like the Emperor seduced Anakin back in Revenge of the Sith. I mean,
yeah, he almost like, you could destroy the Emperor. He has foreseen this. That's almost like a way of seducing him maybe Luke's thoughts are like, well, if I join him, I can destroy the Emperor and stop this. Like his intentions are good, but that would take him down a really dark path.
Exactly. Well, and plus this revelation too, like it almost gives Return of the Jedi a totally different feel from this film. Like again, you feel like there might be hope that Anakin can return, and obviously, we see the conflict throughout most of the runtime of Return of the Jedi, and again, it leads to what was my second favorite moment of them all was Vader's redemption. I mean, to me, it's just totally opposite from the last time they were together. I mean, I do, man. I love this scene. This might honestly be tied for my like overall favorite scene in any movie. Period.
It's a good one, man. It's a this. You see, we forget that we've. I don't even remember watching Empire for the first time. It's one of these movies that I was so young that it's been in my DNA, my life forever.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of forget that, yeah, Vader was the villain who no one would ever have thought he was Luke's dad. But then go back and watch A New Hope and watch when Luke says, "How did my father die?" And Obi-Wan leans in and hesitates and goes, "You know he's lying. You know he's not being truthful." You don't know it at the time. It's not until you see the reveal, then you go back, you'll see there's backstory there.
Mm-hmm.
Alec Guinness would have had to known about that twist, and that he would have had to, unless he's just such a good actor that. Because for me, that's just how I interpret it. You could see the hesitation in him. You could see he's telling a truth, but not the whole truth.
Yep.
From a certain point of view, as he says, right?
Yeah, and then exactly, and then it ties around, and Return of the Jedi is like, oh, for what I told you was the truth from a certain point of view.
That my friend died. Like Darth Vader killed him.
Yep.
All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, my number one, Austin already mentioned basically, but this scene, man, is to me is what Star Wars is all about. It's what the Jedi is all about, and that's when Yoda and Empire Strikes Back says, "That is why you fail." This whole scene plays out so good, and I just love the monologue. I'm a sucker for monologues. You put a monologue in a movie, a really nice, well written one. I love it. I love seeing just long extended dialogue. And when Luke's failed here and he can't, he gives up essentially. That's essentially what he does. He gave up. And Yoda says, "Size matters not. Look at me. Judge me by my size." And then he does that. Just the passion in him, like Frank Oz playing this character, the voice of him anyway. It just life creates it, makes it grow. Luminous beings we are, not this crude matter. And then like where he goes, you gotta feel the force around you. Like Luke's he's not buying into it. He doesn't believe it fully. That's what it really is. That's what he's learning. He says, "Well, that's why you fail. You don't believe in it." It's like the force is not something you can see. So you got to feel it. It's almost like a religion or a spirituality and, afterlife, God and stuff like that. Like we don't see him. If you believe in that stuff, you feel it. It's just a feeling you have. And that's what Yoda's trying to teach him here. This is not something you see with your eye. You have to feel this. It's everywhere. It's with you. It's with me. It's in the rock. It's here. It's there. It's the ship, the land. Basically, he says, this energy field's everywhere. So it may look like, it's too big. That has nothing to do with it. It's it says you got to learn how to work with it and flow with it. And it's got to flow with you, and you have to go to a real calm place. And again, if I talk about The Force Awakens here, one thing I really love is when Rey is struggling and struggling and struggling, and then she's like this, locked with Kylo, and then she closes her eyes and goes to this calm place, and the music kicks in, and that's when she obviously they built the Jedi lore up as this really, you got to be in a really calm state of mind and passive and almost at peace,
Mhm.
and that's when the Force works for you. I'm extrapolating here, and just this is my own interpretation of everything. But I just love that. I love Yoda's monologue, man. It's what Star Wars is all about to me. That's my number one. And of course,
I,
he lifts the ship out and everything like that. And
yes.
I don't believe it. Well, yeah, that's why you fail, because you don't
Yep.
believe it. If you don't believe in yourself, right? You're not going to accomplish anything. Like
Exactly.
it's so profound. The writing is so poetic.
I mean, that's one thing I like about the Rise of Skywalker. How like it comes full circle. Again, it comes full circle. We get to see Luke finally raise up the X-wing, and he has that smirk on his face. He's like, yeah, I can do this now. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's child's play to you now, man. You literally force projected yourself from halfway across the galaxy. Like, that's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a great. It's too bad because the thing with the Last Jedi is that they were teasing it when he looked down at the X-wing
Hmm.
in the water, and I'm like, and then I went, well, oh, what do you mean he's projected himself here? It was jar dropping when I first saw that. I'm going, I would have rather have seen Luke be there, but whatever. Have you? What's done is done.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yeah, in about 5 minutes, Caleb's going to be talking about it, I'm sure,
Oh
on his
boy.
channel, and he's that's going to be a hell of a stream, I tell you. But yeah, everyone, top 10 moments of the original trilogy. Awesome stuff. These moments are so good. I love them so much. There's so many great moments in Star Wars. When you get a franchise like this, and if this is just 3 movies, I mean, if we were to talk the whole series, oof, lots of good moments. Lots of good moments. But Star Wars to me is this original trilogy. It's just what I grew up with, and these are the characters I loved and all that kind of jazz. And yeah, these moments are so good.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, like these were hard to pick because I mean there are so many iconic movie moments just in these three films anyway. So I mean, it's a little hard to just choose 10. I mean, if we would have done 20,
Yeah. Yeah, like there's even like the funny stuff. I love like when he puts Luke into the Tom Tom and he's just like, I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
yeah,
Uh,
just little comedic moments like that. Like you brought up too, like Chewie and Han just sitting there arguing about the Falcon while like they're in the middle of an attack and stuff. And like, why would you do this now?
yeah. That one goes there. This one goes here.
Or even
Yeah,
just
it's great.
no disintegrations, as you wish.
It's great. Yeah.
Yes.
It's amazing how popular Boba Fett got, with just the visual of him. Because he didn't really do that much in Empire, but he became such a popular character.
Yeah. I mean, I find Boba Fett to be very overrated. My favorite version of Boba Fett is from The Mandalorian season 2. That to me is
Yeah.
peak peak Boba Fett, and then you get to the Book of Boba Fett, and you're like, I don't know who this is. But this is definitely not the Boba Fett that I
Yeah.
just got done watching.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fantastic. And there's something to be said about the production design too of Empire Strikes Back. I mean, like I said, with Hoth and Dagobah is just brilliantly filmed. I love the way Dagobah looks, man. It's just everything about it is just there's life everywhere and fog and smoke, like mist and
Mm-hmm.
a very kind of wet planet. You know what I mean? A lot of moisture there and snakes everywhere and
I mean, even like Cloud City, though, like
yeah, it's great
for
too.
for the time, man, that is impressive with what they were able to do with that.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm talking like the original, not the special edition. The original, like watch the the way it was meant to be watched. I don't have a problem per se with the special editions. I like what they added. But even George Lucas said, I always wanted you to see the monster, the cave monster,
Hmm.
right? But they couldn't show it, or they didn't have that kind of technology or money, or for whatever reason. But so you never really saw the monster chowing down on a tom tom. You kind of just saw it. It was more atmosphere. It was more. He had to go more of like the theater of the mind and stuff like that.
Yes.
But he actually wanted you to see everything. That's right, because in Star Wars, it's more like that. They want you to see everything.
Yep.
It's very visual storytelling.
I mean, man, the special edition of A New Hope, like that terrible CGI Jabba the
Oh,
Hutt.
oh yeah, that's awful.
Oh yeah,
Right? They didn't
yeah.
even have to add that in there, man. That's like what.
I don't know why they did. It's just ew. Don't get that off my screen, man. Oh
Yeah. Some stuff's all right in it. But yeah,
yeah.
there's some stuff that's all right, but they even Return of the Jedi, the whole dance thing, they changed.
Hmm.
Right? I actually like the old music from the original Return of the Jedi more. But anyways, these are conversations for another time. But yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on, Austin. I don't know if I've everyone go check out SPC Unleashed. I'll link it in the description after when I get some time, guys. Sometimes when I set these streams up, I completely forget, but I'll put it in after for people who watch after the fact. But yeah, Austin does great content over there, guys. He does some kind of a rebranding. You want to go on and tell people about your rebranding, what's next on the channel for you and stuff like that?
Yeah. I used to be called SPC Bird 317 1993, but after some chatting with my buddy Connor, who actually was here in the chat, just decided a rebrand would just be good for the channel. So when I reached 200 subscribers, I rebranded. So I'm now SPC Unleashed. I have new logos. You guys can always go and check those out. I'm also on Instagram. I posted all of my new logos on there. As far as content coming up, I didn't get to it this week because I was going to drop it today, but next week I'm hoping to drop my ranking of all 24 episodes of The Mandalorian from my least
Oh,
favorite to
whoa.
my favorite. I'm also starting up a brand new podcast series called Tales of a Star Wars Fan, where I bring on a guest. It's basically like this. We just have a conversation. I ask 5 simple questions. Just tell us your Star Wars story. So if there is anybody, if you guys are ever interested, by all means, you guys can just direct message me on Instagram. I'm pretty active on there.
That's
Other than
that's a good idea, man. That's a really good idea.
And other than that, next Saturday I'm doing a 200 subscribers live stream. So just having a bunch of guys on. We're all going to talk a bunch of different topics. Don't quite know what they are yet because I like to be surprised. So yeah, if you guys want to come over and become a specialist, I'd love your guys' company. I'm hoping to start dropping more content more frequently. We'll just have to see how life goes because being an adult is not very fun.
No, I hate adulting.
Yes.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough you got to produce content. There's family stuff to do. There's work. You know what I mean? It gets tough, but you know what? You find your balance. That's what it's all about. Taking your breaks, having your balance. Every time you take a break, you'll come back stronger. Trust me on that for someone who's burnt out before.
Yep. Yep. I burnt myself out hard back in September, October because I did 3 reviews a week for every Halloween film getting ready for Halloween Ends. And man,
Yeah, that's tough. It's
yeah,
tough.
that was a lot of editing, a lot of hours taken away out of my time.
Oh yeah, I know. I hear you. I know what it's like, man. I know what it's like. Yeah, and then in July, I'll be doing the alphabet action movie challenge, where I try to do a review every day of the letter of the alphabet. So A will be 1, the next day will be B, C, D, and it's basically a challenge to see how far I can get before I tap out. So it's gonna be like I get 4 days rest. I have to complete 26 reviews in 31 days. So, and I have to release one by midnight. If I don't get it out by midnight, then I lose my challenge. It's just something I've always wanted to do ever since I started YouTube. Is that I want to go and see how many reviews I can do in consecutive order. But I get 4 days rest. I have to if by July 31st I'm or if I miss 2 days or something like that, or I don't have a like if I don't have if I go through all my rest days, then I'm out, man. I got the letter. Let's say I got the letter F. I tap out. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. And this July, it's time of the month. Well, I have time with summer holidays and other stuff going on, or I actually will have a bit more time than usual. So I wanted to plan it that way. But yeah, I'm gonna say goodnight to everyone. You guys have a happy Star Wars day, and may the Force be with you all. And this was fun. You can check out my reviews already. I did A New Hope, Empire, Return of the Jedi, and I did a ranking of all those films. We'll attack another trilogy in Star Wars at another time. And yeah, and we'll I'm gonna be pressing on, doing more reviews for you guys and stuff like that. And so yeah, just keep hit the notification bell so you get updated on the channel, and there'll be live shows every week, hopefully going forward every Thursday. I'll probably be taking a big break in June, but for now, every Thursday, catch me here on the Backtrack Cinema Live, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.